Now, one of the things that I hear artists say that is far from the same is like when you say sell tickets, a lot of people compare that to pay to play. And it's two totally different things. They are not anything alike because what happens is pay to play is the idea that when you want to get on a show, you pay for your performance slot. And you directly there's no other transfer with this. This doesn't You don't have to have fans. You don't have Sometimes you do have fans, sometimes you don't have fans. Whatever, you're paying to get whatever exposure you think you can take from it. Now, the problem with pay to play a lot of times is this. A lot of people don't understand how to actually turn over fans. So then when they pay to play, they don't actually see any benefits. So then they get mad and say, man, like I don't sell tickets and I don't pay to perform and all this extra. But see, the thing is the people who know how to use the pay to play format, they can benefit from it because they either already have a big fan base and they know that they're going to turn over more fans. Because if, let's say, my 300 fans is in a room full of 1,000 people and they're in there and I paid to perform with whoever this headliner is or famous artist is, and then I know these 300 people are going to make that feeling in the building that's contagious, that makes everyone want to know who I am, because they're going to be like, oh my God, 300 people in this building are singing this person's song, maybe I should know. Then that's how I went off the pay to play idea. But see, a lot of people just don't have any fan bases and they just go and try to pay to play. And it's like you just paid to get on this dude's show and none of his fans are going to turn over because they're here to see the headliner. They don't care if no one screams for you. They might even just like you a little bit, like, oh, that's cool. But they're not gonna go check for you. You can say your Instagram, you can say everything you want to say. They're still just gonna be like, that's cool. Because they're there for something specific. That's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like anything you do in this world. Like, if you go for one thing, it's very rare that you will just switch and get tons of other stuff. Like, a lot of times it's not like people go and they want the main thing they're looking for. That's what they really want. And then anything else has to be amazing for them to decide to switch up and just buy or do anything like that. So then you're sitting there trying to do that exact same idea in the music industry. Now, selling tickets, the reason selling tickets is different, and the reason why I got into the idea of, if you knew the amount of tickets you could move and you knew the amount of fan base, which fan base to me is based on the idea of people who will actually spend a dollar on you. So how many people that will buy tickets let you know who your fan base is. And I always say your real fans will spend around $100 with you every year. And that's why you need 1,000 of them. But either way, selling tickets versus pay to play. If I'm selling tickets, then I'm not paying for a slot. I'm investing into my business because my consumer is paying for my slot. My consumer, which is any business in this world, your consumer pays for product for you to reinvest into building more product, for you to reinvest into um, uh, getting advertisement, for you to reinvest into anything in any business. So this is how you got to look at it. It's a business. So if my fans buy 30 tickets for me to open or 50 tickets for me to headline, then that's reinvesting to make this look for me. For I need to be a headliner and I need to be at this space that I can say, hey, I've reached this pinnacle. Now we're going to find more fans in this space to take me to the next level. And then I'm making this much money or whatever like that. So you're basically saying my fans, who is my consumers, they want my product. So then they're willing to purchase my product. And then I take that money and I reinvest in myself. I can reinvest in myself, however, and that's what you're trying to do. The first place you reinvest in is, of course, your look of you as an artist, knowing that you look the way you do to take it seriously, because I really do shows. Then once I get bigger, then I can reinvest in things like features and all this extra shit and stuff like that to do more to it. But the first thing I want you to know is that I take this seriously. I actually do shows. People actually come out to see me. I actually work hard. And that's the difference of this idea. Pay to play is just, hey, I just take it out of my pocket and I'm making a look. Which I always tell people, I wouldn't pay to play until I get to the point that I have fans. But see, I would sell tickets till I get enough fans to feel that way. Because I need enough fans to be like, I have 200 to 300 fans, and those fans are willing to come see me, and then now I can take them to a bigger show that they can come see me somewhere else with this top-notch artist or something of that nature. And that would be my goal personally. So don't get it twisted from the jump of which one's which, because I see a lot of artists take those out of context, and they say it's like the same thing, and it's not really the same thing. So it's two totally different things. And you got to think people who actually say some of these things, that do some of these things, that say some of these pay to play ideas, a lot of them, like some of them work at studios and stuff, which, what is that? Like, a lot of that is in the same scenario. Like, you pay for a product, but see, they don't want to pay for a show because the idea is they think their artistry should be free. We'll record this nigga for free then. Like, that's what, like, I've heard so many, like, people who work in studios say that to me, like, yeah, don't ever pay to play or anything like that. But then they charge people to make people's music. And then if somebody was a charge for you to perform your music, like, just the logic of people is just far with me. But either way, pay to play, I say you use that in a situation when you already have a fan base and you have something you want to get from it. So you have to know what you're leveraging it up against. Like, if I'm going to pay to play to be on this tour or something like that, or I'm going to pay to play to be on this national artist because we sound alike and I'm hoping I can turn over a lot of fans, or I'm going to pay to play to be on this show because I need the look of the camera footage so it looks like I'm killing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, tons of these ideas come into the pay to play. Now, the ticket idea is because I'm really wanting to build a fan base. I'm really wanting to get to a place where I can make enough money to consistently feed myself, or even just build my career further. That's why I'm selling tickets. So these two are two different things, and the way you use them has to be correct. You can't come in with the idea, because a lot of artists, as I say, a lot of artists come in with the idea like, oh, well, if I pay to play, I'm just going to gain tons of fans, because they think they that dope. But it doesn't turn over like that. So it didn't work like that. So they then become disappointed, and then you hear them cry online all day. So, and then you have, as I said before, you have the ones that with the selling tickets. They don't want to sell tickets because they're either, which you can see in one of my previous videos, they're either in a space where they're entitled, and they feel like, man, I shouldn't have to sell tickets because I'm boom, 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 boom. Or they're just lazy. But they won't say that. They'll just act a certain way. And the entitlement is just crazy, because the idea that you shouldn't have to find your own fan base when you have a product, and you shouldn't have to find your consumer. That's like kind of being like, I have a product, I make a soda, and I shouldn't have to find who's going to drink it. They should just naturally know where I'm at, and they should come get the soda. That's what that's like saying. And so it doesn't make any sense in any other form of business. But for some reason, they've created this feeling that we feel as artists that we do that. And see, I came into business and I just never had that idea, because I come from an idea of business prior. So then I naturally was like, hey, if I find my consumer, and I use that to my leverage, because I knew tons of artists wouldn't do the work. So I knew I'd go find my consumer. So then my shows are going to look bigger than everyone else's, because ain't nobody else going to do that work. And then I'm going to get all the venues, and people are going to have to question because they got lazy and they were too entitled. But then I may come back and do another show very soon, and is at 1,000-person venue. I'm willing to move the tickets. I'm willing to do it, because then I'll have my fan base come back, and then I make great money. Like, that's what this is all about. That's what all this is about. And so when you do that, that's what your intent is with the selling tickets versus the pay to play. So understand those two very different, and understand why you're doing them. Don't just do them because you see something like, hey, this is a great show for me to be on. Like, don't do that for that. And don't do it for the idea of, you know what I'm saying? And if you're selling tickets to actually catch a fan base and understand who your fan base is. Then you can determine things like what type of people listen to you, what type of people want to come see you. And then you can start replicating that in other cities. So that's what you're doing it for. So pay attention closely to those two and understand why you're doing them, whether it's one or the other. And if you take it for the negative that some people take it as, ask why they say it's that. Ask them why they say this is a problem, because they're either not leveraging it correctly and that's why they didn't get anything from it or see anything from it. Because I've done huge shows and I think I've actually never done the pay to play idea, but I know tons of dudes that done them, and I know people that have done it and have executed perfectly. That have been like, oh, I'm going to pay to get this. I'm more on the selling ticket side because I've always been willing to sell tickets so I can control my fan base. And then if they had a percentage of what I get out of the ticket once it hits a certain number or whatever like that, then I'd make money that way. But I always, because I had the fan base from selling tickets, I never had to pay to play because I had a fan base. So then when I go into summer jams and all those different things that I was able to perform at, headlining 420, everything, it's because they knew how big of a fan base I'd already created off the ticket selling. So then now I was already strong enough, so I never had to pay to play. But the artists that I do know that have paid to play, some of them know what that look makes for them, so then they go do it, or they go do it for them to leverage the footage or the connection or anything like that, and they've been able to pull some amazing opportunities from that. But if you don't know what you're doing when you do that, don't do it. Okay, so know the difference between selling tickets and pay to play.